Hey, you know the best team in the ACC, North Carolina? They lost on Saturday. It's No Pulp, we're here to talk about it.
And while North Carolina lost, I think Stephen Sklar could lose in the juicer.
Oh,
Noted
boy.
college football expert is going up against me, and I consider myself a good expert myself.
Debatable. It's Halloween, so we have some super sneaky stories to tell you about coming up later in the show.
And we got our plays of the week and, of course, our final words.
It's No Pulp, and it starts right now.
Kansas State has been on fire this year.
Missouri is one of the most fraudulent teams in college basketball.
And it was proved
They're not going to fire him. He's the best player in program history.
Side to Lawrence for the win! Yes! He got it!
She is the Shohei Ohtani of college softball. This is a team that's potentially going to be a top 10 team in the country.
How you feeling?
I'm excited to win the juicer.
LSU has captured its very first national championship.
That music, every
Gets me
time,
going.
It gets me juiced up. And it's time for No Pulp here in the CitrusTV studio. I'm Joe Puccio alongside Ben Spector. Ben, we watched a lot of college football this weekend. One game in particular, Penn State, Ohio State. Now, sure, the Buckeyes won 20-12. But it was quite an ugly win for Ohio State. What do you make of this Buckeye squad?
Yeah, Ohio State is a very, very good football team, but it's not the offense. You could point to Marvin Harrison Jr., talk about him all day, but Kyle McCord is not a really good quarterback. Marvin Harrison Jr. makes him better. Joe, I have to talk about this Buckeyes defense. Look, third in the Big Ten, third in the country in scoring defense, but this Ohio State defense shut down Drew Aller and Penn State all game long. It took Penn State 58 minutes to convert a third or fourth down. Didn't get into the end zone until the final 30 seconds. This Buckeyes defense showed up.
Yeah, and thankfully, because Ohio State's offense didn't. Ohio State hasn't had awesome wins this year, right? Only a one-point win at the last second against Notre Dame. You beat Penn State by 8, and the Nittany Lions were 1 of 16 on third down. 1 of 16 on third down on offense. You're not going to win a game, so if you're a Nittany Lions fan, you got to be stoked because you only lost by 8 to Ohio State and your offense wasn't there.
Do you really have to be stoked, though? I mean, you look at Penn State's schedule, right? Week 1, West Virginia win. Then you beat Delaware and Illinois. You crush an Iowa offense that is really horrible, 31-0. You went back and forth with Northwestern for the first 30 minutes of that game. If that game lasted 20 minutes, we'd be having a completely different dialogue about Big Ten football because Northwestern was on top. Then you beat UMass fine, and you lose to Ohio State. Where on that list is an opponent that I could point to and say, look, Penn State put up a really good fight. I think that the Nittany Lions can be contenders for the Big Ten.
Yeah, we all know that Penn State's the middle child, right?
Yep.
Ohio State and Michigan are the oldest and the youngest. They're going to get the most attention. Penn State's just always going to be the third team in the Big Ten East. That's just the way it works. So I don't see Penn State being a contender, which makes me think, if you only lose by 8 to Ohio State, that's something you have to hang your hat on. Again, I don't think this is a great game for the Nittany Lions, but you have to be impressed by an 8-point win, right?
I don't think it was a great game for either team. It doesn't make me that confident in Ohio State's offense, but it does make me really confident in an Ohio State defense going up against Michigan in the Big House later this season. Enough about the Big Ten, though. Let's move to the ACC. Upset alert. Virginia, North Carolina. The Cavaliers took down the Tar Heels 31-27. Joe, I'm just going to ask you a two-worded question. What happened?
Dude,
Seriously.
Just the run game was the biggest thing for Virginia. The Cavaliers are not known for running the football. They have averaged under 100 yards a game coming into this matchup with North Carolina. And I'm just checking my notes here.
Please do.
A season high 228 yards on the ground against the number 10 team in the country.
Yep.
No one expected this to happen. Virginia is not a great football team. But in my eyes, North Carolina just came out sluggish. Mac Brown needs to have these guys ready to go. He's the gaffer. He's got to get these guys on the right side of things. And it just didn't happen. North Carolina did not play North Carolina football. And Mac Brown even said it after the game that he's got to get his guys ready. Drake May thought that they were going to go in and win the game, and they didn't. Ben, do you think maybe they were just looking ahead to
I think
next
North
week?
Carolina ultimately was just too flat-footed. They got too comfortable in the ACC. UNC kept winning games and said, look, we got Drake May. If you got Drake May, then you have a good chance to win a lot of football games. Virginia quietly is close to being a really fun football team this season. Since losing to Tennessee, 3 of the last 4 losses for UVA have been by 3 points or less. So they've been in games, they just haven't been able to get it done. And obviously, if you can't close games, then you're not going to be a successful football team. But UNC fell flat. Sure, what I said about Virginia is true. I still think this is more about North Carolina getting a wake-up call than it is about Virginia being a quote-unquote good football
I
team.
agree with
going
that.
forward.
I agree with that last point. I don't think Virginia's a fun football team.
No.
don't.
I never said they were fun. I said they're on the verge of being fun based on what they've done
Just like
all
you.
year. You think I'm on the verge of being fun?
You're not there yet, but you're on the verge.
But look, North Carolina, if you have a defense with Cedric Gray, K'Mon Rucker, then you go on the other side of the football and have Omarion Hampton, Drake May, you have all these weapons. The Virginia game is a get-right game, and it's quite unfortunate for Tar Heels fans because this is a team that had potential to win the ACC, and a loss to Virginia just crushes those hopes.
I still think North Carolina has a shot to win the ACC.
You think they could beat Florida State?
Oh, well, that's up for a different discussion.
I'm just saying,
but I'm saying
that's
they're
winning
in the game.
the ACC.
They're in the game.
Sure,
That's all I'm saying.
sure.
They're in the game. North Carolina will be in that game regardless of what happened on Saturday. But over to the Pac-12. I mean, my goodness. USC, I don't know what's going on with the Trojans. A 34-32 loss to Utah. Same old story. The offense was there.
Yep.
The defense was not. What do you take away from the Trojans?
Well, you just said it. The defense is not there, and it hasn't been there
bad.
all year. USC gives up over 30 points per game. 9th in the Pac-12, bottom half in that conference. When you have a quarterback like Caleb Williams, who continues to put the team on his back time and time again, you have to help your quarterback on all three phases of the football: offense, special teams, and defense. I put special teams second because special teams are special. But look, this defense did not step up, and it's a common theme with USC and Lincoln Riley teams. Caleb Williams doesn't have a defense to go up against the best of the best, and Utah made them pay.
It's very similar to what I said about Mac Brown. You mentioned Lincoln Riley. I just don't think Lincoln Riley has his defense ready. I don't know how many weeks you have to take to get your defense ready. You have an all-worldly quarterback, and I see the numbers on the screen. That's not a Caleb Williams type of performance.
No.
He's Caleb Williams. Utah's a good football team, and they proved it. And Utah's got Oregon coming up next. I will be glued, just like I was this past weekend watching a lot of college football. I will be glued watching that Utah-Oregon game because the Utes proved to me that they can hang with anybody. Like, if you look at the Big 12 conference, we learned this year that anyone in the Big 12 can win. Anyone. And I think the Pac-12 is in a very similar spot.
Utah has the best defense in the conference, and that's really saying something because this conference is loaded with really good football teams. If you look forward down the schedule, I'm not necessarily certain that they can go up against a Bo Nix and Troy Franklin. Sure, they went up against Caleb Williams and all, but Caleb Williams has not been really that consistent lately. Meanwhile, Bo Nix and Troy Franklin is one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the entire country, and I would go as far as to say it's the best in the conference. So when you go up against Bo Nix and Troy Franklin, sure, this Utah defense gives up around 10 points per game. I'm just not so sure that the Utes can keep up with that type of offensive firepower in the Ducks.
It's going to be fun. I mean, Oregon's a great team.
Yeah.
It's sort of like what we were talking about with UNC against Florida State.
Yeah.
Like, it's Florida State.
We're going to
They're
be
good.
glued to our couches.
Yeah.
You said it. I'm not leaving the couch.
And that's why they call you Ben Football, and they call me Joe Football.
Or they actually call me Giovanni to football.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
Nobody
But,
calls me that.
Anyways, let's move on. We'll step aside for just a moment. When we come back, we're getting juiced up. Stephen Sklar joins the Juicer when we return right here on No Pulp.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
We're back on No Pulp. You know, that's Ben. I'm Joe, but we've got...
Sounds so sad.
Oh, I'm stoked because we've got Stephen Sklar inside the Juicer here in the CitrusTV studio. Stephen, you ready to go here, man, or what?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I think Ben's a good opponent, though. I mean,
He's
honestly,
not.
he can come out with... What's his record, by the way? In the
Not
Juicer
great.
so
I don't know the numbers,
I
but it's
haven't
probably not
won
great.
at all.
Not once?
Nope.
All right,
All right.
maybe we get win number
Maybe.
one today. We'll see.
see.
So we're talking some awards here in the juicer.
I love
And
awards.
we're going to start with the Fred Biletnikoff winner. I know you guys watched a lot of tape on Fred Biletnikoff, one of the best wide receivers of all time. We will start with Ben. Who is the front runner for the Biletnikoff Award?
Joe, thank you so much for asking. By the way, you look handsome today. You look fantastic. Thank you.
I cut my face shaving this morning, so no, I don't.
It's okay. When you look at the Biletnikoff Award, you have to point to one name, and that one name is Marvin Harrison Jr. Look, if you go on Marvin Harrison Jr.'s profile on the Ohio State website, the first thing you see is WR1, wide receiver 1, and he plays like it. And he's been doing it all season long. Sure, first game of the year against Notre Dame, you combine those stats, 5 receptions for 50 yards. Not very good. Other than that, MHJ, or wide receiver 1 as I'm calling him, has 100+ yards in every game this season, at least 1 touchdown in all of those games. Ohio State wouldn't have even been in the contest if Marvin Harrison Jr. was not in that game. He's the Biletnikoff Award winner.
Are we done with the pandering here? First you tell me he looks handsome, which he does. You look very handsome today. But you're just pandering.
You got to play the game.
Sure, you got to play the game, but you're pandering to the scarlet red on the jersey. Because if he wasn't wearing that,
I'm colorblind, my friend.
He is.
But if he wasn't wearing that
What do you
color,
want me to do?
if he wasn't wearing that color, you would never take
All right,
him
come
over
on.
Rome Odunze.
All right,
Over
okay.
Rome Odunze. I saw you were taking notes before, right? So take these for your notes.
Okay, please, I got it.
Listen, Rome leads Marvin Harrison in every major statistical wide receiver
leads
category
Schmeeds.
except for touchdowns, and that's because they're tied. It's not like Marvin Harrison has the edge there anyway. So Rome Odunze leads him in receiving yards, in receptions, in the same number of games. So if we're taking it from a fact-based perspective, Ben, it can't be Marvin Harrison. He was great last year. He's a great player, and he's probably going to be the first wide receiver taken off the board when he's drafted. But Rome Odunze is the guy. He's just outperformed Marvin Harrison in every major stat category.
Respectfully, I disagree.
Respectfully,
That's fair. because you guys are on opposite sides.
Respectfully.
Here, I'm
Respectfully.
the one who administers the points around here. You make a great argument, but Ohio State football. If you're one of the best receivers at Ohio
Buckeyes.
State, you're one of the best in the
Fox
country.
noon kickoff.
And I've got to go
That's it.
Gus
with our
Johnson.
man,
It's
Marvin
all
Harrison
Joel
Jr.
Klatt.
You're
It's all
talking
about
over
the
me here. Don't make me
colors.
get the point to him.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. You get the first point, but
Thank
you
you.
watch yourself. All right, let's move on to running backs here. The Doak Walker Award winner. It's the nation's top running back. So, Stephen, who do you think is the front runner as the nation's best tailback?
The nation's top running back. We're talking about the best running back in the country. And it's no secret who it is. It's Jonathan Brooks, Texas. It's going right back down to Texas after Bijan Robinson won it a year ago. He is, and it's always horns down. It's never horns up. But Jonathan Brooks is 4th in the country in rushing yards per game and 1st among Power 5 backs. I really don't think I need the full time here because the buck stops there. He's simply better than any other running back that you can stack up against him. I don't know who you're going to say right now, but there is no chance, I do know, and there's no chance that this guy is anywhere close to as good as Jonathan Brooks has been. And if you look at what Bijan Robinson did a year ago when he did win the Doak Walker, the numbers, they're so similar. The trajectory is right there. He's going in the same direction.
We got you.
Bijan Robinson's in Atlanta.
Hey, we got you. We got you. We got you.
College
Great argument.
football.
Great argument. Great argument. Ben, what do you present?
Look, the goal of football is to score more points than the other team. And who scored the most points from running backs in all of college football? Blake Corum from Michigan. He leads the entire country with 13 touchdowns. Get this, Stephen. He scored a touchdown in every single game that he's played in.
Sure.
This guy is unbelievable.
Sure.
He's a bulldog. He has 4 multi-touchdown games. The next guy has 11 touchdowns, but when Blake Corum's on the field, sure, he's not getting the 100-yard games. But when Michigan needs him to score, he scores. 13, his 100-yard game, by the way. 13 touchdowns. That's all I need to say. He is scoring at every single spot he can. Blake Corum's going to will Michigan and this offense towards a Big Ten championship. Blake Corum's the name.
To me, 100-yard games just seem like an important running back stat.
So do touchdowns.
Look,
That's all.
gentlemen. There is so much to love about this life that we don't have to argue. All right,
That's literally the point of
and
this.
smile, and we can smile and have fun.
Smiling.
But yeah, I'm going with Ben again. Blake Corum. Blake Corum. He's been one of the best running backs in the
walked
country.
off set.
Yeah, but he's mad. I know he's mad. Now Blake
Not
Corum's
even
one of the best
6.
running backs in the
colorblind, but your
country.
face is red.
That's
Look,
look. I just administer the points. All right,
true.
that's all I do. So
That's
Ben,
insane.
2-0 lead. And we go back to Ben for my favorite position, quarterback. Davey O'Brien Award. Who do you think's the front runner?
The quarterback is the most important position in football. Dick Puccio was a quarterback.
He was.
But Michael Penix Jr. has been better than Dick Puccio has been, I must say. Michael Penix Jr. is the best quarterback in the country in 2023. He wills Washington to victories. Sure, wins are not a quarterback stat, but he leads the country in passing yards. He's 4th in the country in passing touchdowns. and he averages nearly 370 yards in the air per game. He's had multiple 4-touchdown games. He's even had a 5-touchdown game. I talked about scoring points. That's the most important thing in football. Get this, Michael Penix does it really well. He does it at a high rate. Washington is undefeated, and it's all because of Michael Penix. That's why he's the best quarterback in college football.
I would never disrespect Dick Puccio like that. Just for the record, I mean, just disgusting behavior off the bat.
He's the best coach there ever is, by the way.
He is a great coach. I'm not too sure what his coaching record is, but I'm sure he's a great coach. Yeah, Michael Penix, I think he's a great guy, but you say he wills them to victory every single week. I just got done listening to you talk about how Michael Penix didn't do that this week. So you can't.
Did they win the game?
You said he had 2 interceptions, played a bad game. You said he wasn't really on his A game.
Give me your guy.
I'm just saying, it's got to be Drake May. Drake May, we're looking at a potential, and I'm not saying that he's willing them to every single victory, but you have a chance. You're looking at a quarterback that's got a chance to win that quarterback triple crown with the Davey O'Brien, the Maxwell, the Heisman. 2 Saturdays into December, we could be talking about that. And we could also be talking about Drake May as potentially the #1 quarterback off the board in the draft. That Caleb Williams stock is dropping. That Drake May stock is rising. I'm buying into it on the upswing. You got to look at what he's done, and he's one of those really premier passers in the game, doing it all for UNC. A bunch of 400-yard games. He is the best gunslinger in the country.
Now, he's so good that he lost to Virginia, which is difficult. Now, you did disrespect my father.
I didn't disrespect.
You did.
Let's not go to that word.
You said Michael Penix was better than my dad playing quarterback, but that's because you're right. You get the point here. You know, Michael Penix, one of the best quarterbacks. So it's a 3-0 lead for Ben. And if you're a fan of the Juicer, you know that Steven's done and out at this point.
Yeah, I lost.
Or so you think. This last question's worth 4 points. All those wins you just had, they don't matter now.
That's kind of wild if you think about it.
I make the rules. Look, I get told in my ear.
Let's
what
get
happens,
back to the running back question.
Defensive Player of the Year, the Bednarik Award. Stephen Sklar. This is to rewrite all of these woes. Who are you going with?
I think that this is the easiest, the most obvious answer that we've had all game. It's Jonah Ellis of Utah. There's not even another defender in the country that comes close to replicating what he's doing now, not just on defense, but at his position as well, leading the country in tackles for loss, second in the country in sacks. He's doing it all, and by the way, leading his position at D-end in sacks as well. So there's only one player out of Colorado State that's doing better in that category than him. Listen, if you want to scare people this Halloween, the best thing you can do is throw on a red 83 jersey, because that's what Jonah Ellis is doing to quarterbacks across college football right now. He's scaring them into their shells.
I'm spooked.
Steven, that's the best answer you've had all day. I have an immense respect for the Utah defense, but I also have great respect for Kamen Rucker at North Carolina. When you look at the landscape of the ACC defensively, you thought of one name, and that name resided in Tallahassee. It was Jared Verse, the defensive end. Kamen Rucker has exceeded all expectations. Cedric Gray was supposed to be the guy, the linebacker from North Carolina. Nope, it's Kamen Rucker. 35 tackles, 7.5 sacks. The 7.5 sacks leads the ACC. He also leads the conference in tackles for loss. This is a guy that could do it all. He can rush the passer. He can do it at the second level. Absolutely. He can cover. Kamen Rucker has stepped up for the Tar Heels defensively when they needed a player to do so most, to line up with Cedric Gray. It's been Rucker. He's been put on notice all season long, and that's why he's the best defensive player in the country.
He's a great player.
Like, I'm so happy that that's how we ended things, because we're nice and everyone's loving each other.
No matter what happens.
We're all friends at the end of the day.
That's true.
And I said it. Man, you gave me some great arguments here. And
what you've been writing down there, Pooch?
I got to go with the sweep. It's a 7-0 win for Ben Spector's first win of the Juicer. Kamen Rucker, man, he's one of the best defensive players in the country. He's going to win it all. Ben Spector, you can go to sleep at night dreaming of number 7s on the ceiling.
I can.
It's all right, Steven. You'll get them next time. It's all right.
I just don't think that you were right all that much. That's okay. That's fine.
And that's why I'm the host.
You're the host.
Yeah.
You're the judge.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw Stephen Sklar out of the studio. We'll step aside for just a moment. But when we come back, we're talking more spooky stories. Ooh. It's spooky season. Halloween coming up, but we've got some stories we got to tell you. Don't go anywhere.
Here we go. We're going to go out there in the rain. It's going to get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh, yeah. Yes. So much fun. Mwah. So wet.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
Welcome back to No Pulp with Joe Puccio. I'm Ben Spector. I'm on a high right now. I'm just coming off a great win, 7-0 sweep of Stephen Sklar. But now it's time to get sneaky, spooky. It's Halloween season. Ooh. It's October. And we're going to tell some sneaky stories. Stories that you might not think of in the college football world. So, Joe, why don't you just lead us off here?
I'm going to start with the Southeastern Conference.
Okay.
There's a team by the name of the Arizona.
No, they're not.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
There you go.
Those guys are in the SEC.
Yep.
They just fired their first-year offensive coordinator, Dan Enos, after 8 games. Look, the Razorbacks are 2-6. But if you look at their resume, Arkansas has a 3-point loss to number 9 Bama, a 7-point loss to number 12 Mississippi, and a 3-point loss to number 15 LSU earlier this season. What I took away from this is that if you aren't getting wins in the SEC, it doesn't matter. You're cleaning house. There's a zero-tolerance policy in this conference. And even with a school like Arizona, Arkansas, that doesn't have a reputation of the Auburns and the Alabamas and the Georgias, you still have high standards of winning. Arkansas said, you know what? We don't care. You're not getting wins. You're out of here. I think that Dan Enos was wrongfully fired. He should keep his job. They've been playing close games. One of these times, it's going to go the other way.
Wins are the only thing that matter in college football, notably in the SEC. I'm moving to the ACC for my sneaky story here, something you might not think of. Your name is Joe, obviously.
Joe Football.
Joe Football. Does that have a story in particular? Any quick background?
I'm just the ball knower.
You're just the ball knower?
I'm just that guy.
Well, British Brooks, the backup running back for North Carolina, has quite the story behind his name. After his mother, Leslie, was born, his grandmother, Leslie's mother, had a dream about how she was calling out to a little boy named London on the beach. So she said, okay, my next kid will be named London. Turns out the next kid was a girl, so she named her Paris. Then London was born, then Princeton, and then those kids had children named British and Egypt. And Joe, get this, Egypt was almost named Brazil. So British Brooks says that Thanksgiving could be sort of like a geography lesson. It could be sort of interesting, sort of leads his grandmother to go a little crazy thinking of all these names. But British Brooks is a great special teams player for North Carolina, the backup running back to our Marion Hampton.
I can't wait to name my kid Scarsdale Puccio. It's going to be wonderful.
New Hartford Spector.
That's a good name. That's a great story, Ben. And mine is less cooler, but it's still spooky. You remember James Madison, the FCS superpower from a few years ago? Yeah, they're in the FBS. This year, they're undefeated, and they're the number 25 team in the country. Can you believe this turnaround that the Dukes have had? How is no one talking about the purple and gold squad down in Virginia? And it's all due to the head coach, Curt Cignetti. He has created a program. How many times can you say that a coach has created a program, not revitalized a program, brought a program down? No, this guy, Curt Cignetti, created a program. He's 48-8 as the head coach of James Madison. They're 15-3 as an FBS school. 7-0 this year in their second season as an FBS school. Keep an eye on James Madison. They're going to play in a big-time bowl game this year.
James Madison's an interesting team to follow. I'm going to keep an eye on JMU.
You really should. They're sneaky.
I'm also going to keep an eye on a sneaky running back that not a lot of people are talking about, and they absolutely should. Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. This guy's coming off a 280 rushing yard performance and 4 touchdowns. Ollie Gordon, nobody's talking about him. 4 straight 100-yard games. He continues to produce. There was an article put out there at Oklahoma State saying that Ollie Gordon might transfer just because of the recent performance he's put up at Oklahoma State. It's RBU over there. Chuba Hubbard went there. Jalen Warren went there.
One of your favorite running backs, Chuba Hubbard.
I love Chuba Hubbard. Ollie Gordon needs to be talked about more. He's sneaking up on everybody in the entire college football landscape. I think he's sneaking up on you, don't you think?
Where?
He's not here. He's not here. He's not here.
That scared me.
Don't worry about it. But something else sneaking up on us, that's our plays of the week and our final word. We're going to another break. We'll have all of that on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
Jason, let's go see your room. Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
And we're back here on No Pulp. I'm Joe Puccio. We'll get to Ben Spector in just a moment. But it's time for our plays of the week. Look, if you know me best, you know that I am not a Boston College Eagles supporter. However, I got to give credit to their defensive back, Amari Jackson. He had not just the play of the week, arguably the play of the season. Look at this interception. You can't see it down on the screen because the camera didn't move fast enough. All you see is that Amari Jackson's in the end zone against Georgia Tech. But watch this catch. How? He just put his left paw out, caught the ball with his left hand, gloved it to his left leg. Look at this. That's incredible. It was a pick six, Boston College against Georgia Tech. Amari Jackson had the play of the week, play of the year, play of the century. I don't care. You got to give him credit.
That play was spectacular. Look, on No Pulp, we've talked a lot of football. Now it's time we talk a little bit of football. And for that, we head to the Ivy League. Cornell versus Dartmouth. This is one of the best goalie performances or showings, sequences, whatever you want to call it, I've ever seen. One shot saved, two shots saved, another shot saved, goes out of bounds. Costi Christodoulou was doing it all for Dartmouth. One shot, second shot, third shot. Sure, he didn't have to move that much, but the fact that he stood tall and kept the ball out of the net was huge for Dartmouth early in this contest, just nearly 10 minutes in. Dartmouth with a big sequence from Costi Christodoulou.
We're football and football guys. I love that here.
I love that.
Let's get into our final words. For my final word, we shift our focus to the world of women's basketball. Last Sunday, Iowa women's hoops played a game in front of 55,651 fans at Kinnick Stadium. Our very own Braden Reed was on the air last month praising Nebraska volleyball's event at Memorial Stadium. So I won't sound like a broken record and repeat what he said. But what I will say is this: I want more. I want basketball and volleyball courts in front of thousands and thousands of fans. And better yet, for women's sports to be on this stage is spectacular. What I learned from this past weekend from Iowa City was that if we come together, we can get creative. We can do some marvelous, uplifting acts to make this world a better place. Albert Einstein once said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." Sure, these events could have happened in the past, but they happen now, when women's sports continue to grow at an exciting rate. I want more. Let's keep the ideas flowing. Let's expand what we currently believe is the norm, because our thinking has vastly changed since the preconceived norm was created.
My final word is about one of the best running backs in the country that nobody is talking about. I talked about Ollie Gordon, but it's Ray Davis from Kentucky. The senior has one of the most unique stories in all of college football. Davis grew up in San Francisco, and at the age of 12, the Kentucky tailback would sit for days, texting extended family members to stay with them so that he could go to school. Davis's parents, Jessica Blazer and Raymond Davis, were in and out of trouble with the law, and Ray had to resort to a foster care system. Ray's one of 14 siblings, had to manage his way through life, splitting up with family members and jumping from one base to another. The running back faced hardship after hardship. It wasn't until he was 15 when two people, Laura Banks and Greg Lay, helped Davis get through when they took him in. Davis then went to play football at Temple before transferring to Vanderbilt to get his degree. Now the halfback is an inspiration to all. Davis has now been added to the Maxwell Award midseason watch list and earned AP midseason All-American honors with the Wildcats in his final season. Ray Davis is an incredible role model to so many, and the big lesson here is just keep dreaming.
You know, sports is wonderful. That's why we talk sports, because it just brings everyone together. And that's the biggest takeaway I have from this show tonight, is that sports is a unifying force.
It just makes us laugh, it makes us have fun, and that's the beautiful thing. It brings us together.
Keep smiling, keep laughing, keep having fun watching college football this weekend. We're signing off here on No Pulp. For our entire crew and Ben Spector, I'm Joe Puccio. We'll see you next time.